There is meaning in Greek word order, but it's normally so nuanced that it really can't come out in a translation. Now, one of the wonderful exceptions to that is Ephesians 2, 8 and 9. And it does illustrate how changing word order can emphasize certain things. So Paul writes, "For by grace," instrumental dative, "you are saved," periphrastic perfect, "through faith," semicolon, "and this not of yourselves, of God the gift, not out of works, in order that no one can boast." Just a quick grammatical note on this periphrastic. You have the present of a me and a perfect participle that makes it a periphrastic perfect. Originally, periphrastics were created to emphasize the ongoing aspect of something, but that's been basically lost by the time of the Koine. So this is translated as a simple perfect. You have been saved. The other interesting thing about the Greek is the tuta, which is neuter, and there's no neuter for it to go back to. You might think that this "not of yourselves" would refer to being saved, or God's expression of grace, which is feminine. This is masculine. Faith is feminine. So why a neuter tuta? Well, the basic rule in Greek is that when you want to refer back not to a specific word, but to a more general concept, you put the pronoun in the neuter. And so this means that tuta refers to this entire process of gracious salvation by faith. That whole thing is not of us. We don't do that. It's God's gift. So let's take this apart a little bit more and do some phrasing. So what we're going to do is different phrases. Got to get that post-positive out of there. Put it on its own line. Grace, you are being saved. Prepositional phrase. Conjunction. Punctuation. And again, punctuation. And the basic thought is you are being saved, so that needs to be on its own line as well. And so we're going to put gar indented as a major conjunction. By grace is telling us something about the means by which we are being saved. And diapisteos is also telling us something about the nature of our salvation. Chi is functioning as a major connective here, isn't it? And you have this not of ourselves. And you would almost expect there to be a conjunction like an Allah. But Paul is letting the grammar and the flow of the sentence create the adversative structure. So all of this is not of ourselves, it's of God. So we're going to set apart that way. So it is a gift of God. It's not of ourselves. It is not, we're still kind of dealing with the same topic. It is not out of works. And then what does the hina go under? Well, it clearly goes under as a why it's not by works. Otherwise, someone could boast. You probably also want to be able to highlight uk ex humon and uk ex ergon, and they stand in distinction to it being a gift. So maybe another way to do this would be put it under the gift, which then moves that final phrase out that way. So all of this, it's not of ourselves, it's not out of works, it's a gift of God, so that nobody can boast. And maybe given this construction, we may want to pull this back in. Why is it not of ourselves? Well, otherwise we could boast. Why is it a gift of God? So that nobody can boast. It is not out of works, so that nobody can boast. So you could do it that way, or you could just connect it more tightly with ergon that way. But the point I'm making in this particular video is that here's the main thought. This is going back to being saved by grace through faith. And you could also, in one level, you may want to see a way to line up grace, faith, not us, gift, works. That could be another way to do that. But the point is that by pushing this dative phrase up in word order, it really does bring emphasis to the fact that our salvation is by grace. Now let me say something just about word order. The normal word order is conjunction, verb, subject, direct object. You have to search pretty hard, though, to find that structure in a Greek verse in the Bible because the word orders change so much. So I use the word normal pretty cautiously. But you have an example here in Matthew 9:35. And he went through, Jesus, the cities. So here you have conjunction, verb, subject, direct object. So that's an example of normal, quote unquote, word order. And so since Greek doesn't use word order the way we do in English, word order is a matter of nuance, not of grammatical structures like what's a subject and what's a direct object. So you have this very definite dative phrase, push forward, which is unusual to be able to bring that into English. But there's a couple of other examples here. And this is not of ourselves, of God, the gift. You have an assumed verb, so it's this is, and then you have a predicate nominative and a modifier. The modifier would generally go after the word it's modifying, but Paul pushes it to the front just to give it a little emphasis, which then creates a wonderful contrast with ergons. Of God is this gift, not of works. You get down into verse 9, and you have the subject before the verb, slight nuance of emphasis. So slight, we simply can't get it into English. In fact, it's so slight we don't need to get it into English. Language is certainly highly nuanced, and those nuances are often lost in translation. That's just the nature of language and translation.